Hey guys, this is Pedro back with another interview, this time covering VCT Masters Toronto 2025. My guest at this time is another broadcast talent, this time being Goldenboy, of VALORANT. I'm not sure how to continue with that, make it the better segue. You gave me the time to do a quick interview, you're just talking about the experience and all that good stuff and everything else surrounding that. Goldenboy, thank you so much for doing this. First and foremost, day two is wrapped up in finals weekend. Want to ask you just sort of like your thoughts, your emotions. What's the feeling like for you finishing today and also getting ready to the wrap up of this competition?
Oh man, yeah, it's been a journey, right? I'm super proud of our team. Especially the crew that came in at the first half of the tournament did such a brilliant job, really setting the stage, telling the stories, and then obviously now as we make our way further into this, it's been a really wild ride, with the Wolves story and with Paper Rex and, is this it? Is it finally happening to Fanatics rise back to the top? It's an event of storylines, and while I felt like Bangkok was like a super fun event, it kind of got not muddied, but it did get like a little weird because it was like T11 and that kind of came out of nowhere. So it was more of just like, whoa, the surprise win. Whereas this one feels like it was like a buildup of many, many events, many, many months of these guys finally getting this opportunity. Fnatic finally getting that chance. I think it's like over 700 days since they've had their last appearance in a final. And then Paper X have never won, right? Literal runner-up for champs. So I mean, it's kind of crazy. I made a joke on the desk, but I was like, it's like an anime, man. Like the storylines, it's crazy. It's crazy.
As someone who's been doing this basically from the jump of this game's history, where does this international event rank amongst the list of other internationals in the history of the VCT from your opinion? Sure, we're not at the end of it yet. We haven't crowned a champion, but we've seen so many good things happen for this competition. The ascension of Wolves, the emergence of CUFAT, other teams trying to take part and make their own run. But still, where does this rank, Masters Toronto, against the other events in your opinion?
Quite high. I think this one, for a variety of reasons. Firstly, it's obviously the whole, being in an NA environment, being back here, doing an NA event. We had one in LA for champs, which was fantastic, but I think everyone was at a very different point in their career and the lifespan of VALORANT and the community. It was a very different atmosphere back then. Whereas now, you're really starting to see that fandom, right, begin to shine through. And I think that was one of the big things that I knew we were going to get to eventually. But what I was excited about was seeing the players' personalities open up. Because our whole goal and what we do is just try to tell stories, right? I'm not up there to be famous and sound famous or whatever. I don't care about that crap. What I care about is telling the story of the player so that they could feel like a superstar in that moment. Because without the player, we literally don't have the show, right? So it's very important for me and for Mimi and for Kakuka and for the rest of the team to be very steadfast in that objective of hey, listen, our goal here is to bring out these personalities. And what helps is when the players are doing it themselves and they're going up there and they're taunting and they're joking around. Even something as simple as Lysor always getting up and staring at the other team, right? It's some people, I don't think expected that. And now that we have it, it's I feel like the players now are leaning further into it. I also think too that from an event perspective, I do want to give flowers to Riot because, I've had the pleasure of working events over the last 15 years. And this is actually a very back to basics, very, I would even go as far as saying MLG-ish type of event where it's more of a convention center, but we have a ton of activations in the back and people can enjoy the event. So I think for the event as a whole, it has felt very open. It's felt very fun. It's felt very complete. There's things to do. Fans are engaged constantly, and that's what we want to see. People, look, it's tough out there. People don't got a lot of money to do these things, right? So when they come out here and they come to these events, it's great that I do feel like they're getting their money's worth with this type of experience. And also too, like the additions of like the pit and stuff like that around the stage. I thought all that was like very brilliant, bringing the fans closer to the players. And that just creates more opportunities for the players to, build up that legacy, right? Little by little. And we're making stars, and I'm proud of them.
Sorry
for the long answer.
It's all good, man. I love yapping, man. Yap City is like the name of the game.
I got a lot of time, so you good.
It's all good. You've been, I would say, amongst all of those that are in the broadcast team, I would say the most colorful personality. And for one way, it's like an obligation, because you have to be, energetic, charismatic on the camera, just so that everybody else can have a welcoming feeling, and then have also, as a result, a welcoming environment, and also a very good environment, very chill environment as well. In that sense, how do you kind of look at your personality compared to those that you have been working with over the years? And, it's kind of interesting to also see your stay in this game, because, like, as I said, been in here on the jump. I would go so far as to call you an OG of VALORANT.
Yeah.
That's just me. So, So, how do you look at your personality? How does that kind of contrast and also gel with those that you've been working with over the years? And also, do you feel like you're an OG of VALORANT?
Yeah. I mean, honestly, I never even really thought about it like that. But yeah, I guess so. I did the first VALORANT tournament ever, and I also did First Strike, and I've done a ton of other events since then. Obviously, it was like a gap where I kind of was in between. Me and Riot weren't necessarily seeing eye to eye at that time, No, jokes aside, I mean, obviously, I work a lot and across a lot of different games, and work comes and goes, right? And for me, the way that I view it is, like I said, I don't view this as like, hey, I'm Goldenboy, the esports caster. Nah, I'm just Alex. I'm a dude who works. I show up for my job, and I make sure that I'm a good coworker for my colleagues, because I come from a social work background, and for me, it's just really, really important to foster a positive working environment. Mostly because who wants to work in a shitty environment, right? And I've worked in a lot of shitty environments. I've seen it, and I always said to myself, if I was ever in a position to kind of help lead the charge, or be kind of like the locker room leader, so to speak, that I will make sure that I do my thing, which is to be, just more inclusive, to just make sure that everyone's getting those wins and thriving where they are. And I tell the team all the time, it's like, I don't need the things, I remember my first couple events, I was champions in Istanbul. I remember very prominently being like, hey, Yinsu, she's got to do, the desk. She's the next star. She's a superstar. She's got to do this, right? Hey, put me where you need me. You want me to do stage interviews? I'll do stage interviews. You want me to sit in the back and do nothing? I'll sit in the back and do nothing. I'm good. I just want to make sure I'm doing the best possible job for the show. And those are the lessons that I've kind of helped to instill. But it also helps too, because myself, Brent, Josh, and Bala in the early days, I worked with all three of them, with first two in Overwatch and Bala in Fortnite. So they kind of knew my vibe and how I approach things, and they were like, all right, well, we're doing it the same way. So we have a very good environment out here. Everyone talks, everyone communicates. I stress enough to everyone, it's there are no egos out here. Just come out here, do your job, do a good job, and give a shit about the people that are around you. And if you do that, you'll find success. And I feel very strongly that we have the best talent team in all of esports. Everyone works incredibly hard, and I've learned so much from all of them. I think that if it wasn't for Mimi, I probably wouldn't be doing this anymore, because I was kind of crashing out for a while there. Esports is a very unforgiving and unrelenting world, and even for individuals like myself who have had some semblance of success, it can still get very difficult, and it still get quite challenging to keep yourself focused and centered on the task at hand. But if meeting Mimi, working with her, she taught me so much ways to approach production. Working with Bea or Kakuka, and also her enthusiasm for the game really just pushed me to care and give more of a shit, because I know my role. I'm a host, right? I'm a host. I'm a facilitator of conversation. I'm not there to be the star. I'm there to just guide where things go, land the plane, and then that's that, right? So to have colleagues and friends, honestly, who not just just view me as that. And I like that. They want to bring me into it too, which I very much appreciate. And I watch a crap ton of Valorant at this point. Like, I watch an unhealthy amount of the game. So because of that, I think it's like been kind of cool, you know, to kind of add my own pizzazz, my own personality, and to what you said about like bringing that uniqueness, you know, to the broadcast team. I always stress, have fun. What's the most important thing you could possibly do? Just go out there and have fun, right? I don't know how long this is going to last. I could drop dead tomorrow, you know what I mean? I want to be able to just be like, hey, I gave it my all, I had a great time, and yeah, it was the best, you know, best of times. Oh, sorry, yeah.
I want to squeeze in a few more questions very quickly. I understand that you are a WWE fan, so like, what would you say? Like, okay, we're looking at the current like pecking order of the champions in WWE. We got John Cena as WWE champion.
Yep.
Gunther as the World Heavyweight champion, and we saw Dominic Mysterio Intercontinental.
Yeah.
Jacob Fatu US. How would you? Who would be the equivalents of those people in your eyes in Valorant?
Oh man, honestly, that's a toughie because there are a lot of obviously we don't have like bad guys and villains, right? But you know, I would say if I had to think like a Dominic Mysterio type, who gets a reaction the most? No one gets booed, thankfully, quite like Dominic Mysterio. I'll tell you that much. But if I did have to say, Chronicle reminds me of Gunther. He's stoic. He's very like, hey, I'm coming here to do my thing and make this happen, and kick all the asses, and yeah. But also, you know, it's been a great time for professional wrestling. You know what I mean? Also, shout out to AEW. They're killing it right now. I don't know. I know we don't have time, but look, I had to get my swerve threes. You know what I'm saying? My Iverson threes. Shout out to the one and only Big Pressure Swerve Strickland. You know what I'm saying? I had a rep for the homie out there. But no, I mean, real talk, man. I love the fact that I was able to do a little bit of wrestling stuff and bring that in to the community, and I'm going to keep doing it because I think that professional wrestling is one of the greatest forms of entertainment on the planet, and I think that esports is one of the greatest forms of entertainment on the planet. So it just seems like a match made in heaven.
For sure. Once again, Goldenboy, thank you so much for the opportunity for doing the interview, and of course, best of luck goes to you later on down the line, man.
Yeah, we'll have to do this again sometime, whenever you want.
Of course, man.
Yeah, thank you, buddy.